Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our show brought to you by my good friends down at Madisonville Marine. Right now they have great deals on G3 boats. G3, that's the kind of boat Bob Hodge bought, isn't it, Bob?
Yes, it is.
All right, Madisonville Marine's where you got yours. Right now through December 10th, time's running out. Right now through December 10th, you can get factory rebates of up to $1,500 on select models of G3 boats. And Madisonville Marine has John boats, pontoons, bass boats. There is no better place to buy a boat than Madisonville Marine. All right. Want to welcome in the next two members of our panel today. We got right here former Vol defensive lineman Shazon Bradley, former Vol quarterback, NFL quarterback, USFL quarterback, Bobby Scott. If there were XFL, World Football League, European Football League,
I was there.
You were there. Guys, here's the deal. Hot reads, two quick questions. The first one, I want to focus on the fact that Tennessee did get bowl eligible, and we'll try and explain the selection process a little later in the show. Get out your slide rules and everything else. It's tough. But my question is, how important was this for the program in terms of recruiting, in terms of extra practice, in terms of Butch Jones and support? Mm-hmm. Jimmy, how important?
I think Tennessee needed this. I really do, to try to show that you're going in the right direction. You're still recruiting what looks like a potential top 5 class. You don't want to lose anybody by having a losing record. And I'll say this, typically I don't think the extra practices make a huge difference in the next year's team. But with this team, as young as it is, trying to get in the right direction, I think it's big for this team to get those extra practices and go to a bowl game and just feel better about themselves.
It's super important. It's because the practices are kind of laid back, not a lot of pressure. Bowl game, extra practices, and to me, that's where you learn the most because you're kind of laid back. You watch the guard, you watch the tackle, you watch the end. You're able to be coached. And it's just laid back and it's better for them.
It's not just game planning for that upcoming opponent. That's a good point. Bobby, your thoughts on the importance of this bowl trip?
Every minute you can spend on the practice field, if you're serious about it, is good. And that's the way I look at it. Being able to practice for an extra 2 or 3 weeks I think it'll be great for this team.
And I'll tell you what, I think here's an important factor that came out of winning this ball game is it keeps Butch Jones off the clock for another year. I think if he had lost to Vanderbilt, you were going to have a Dooley, Kentucky kind of situation where now the taste in everybody's mouth is bad. Yeah. You don't feel like you're going forward. Everything's stagnant. I think all that kind of gets pushed back a little bit. I like Butch Jones a lot. I know a lot of people out there are still iffy about him, but I think this just keeps all that at bay.
Now the trick is to win the bowl game, which everybody's going to want. But here's the thing. We said it in the first segment. With this roster, with this lack of depth, with this amount of youth, you're dealing with house money at this. In my view, this is house money. I know everybody wants a winning record. People will be mad. I know that we'll cut them up and down when they lose that bowl if they do. But the reality is, even if they finish 6 and 7, to have gotten to a bowl this year, that's a pretty good achievement in its own right. Let's talk about Josh Dobbs' performance. The offensive line has clearly taken a step backwards the last 2 weeks. Jalen Hurd went out early, which we mentioned. The wide receiver core was depleted. Vic Wharton started yesterday. That's where you're down to. He had a so-so day throwing the ball, but he was your only offense in terms of running it. So where do you grade Josh Dobbs in his performance yesterday, guys?
I think it was above average, and I think because of his offensive line made it above average. You give him 2 grades. As a runner, he was an A. As a passer, I think he was a C- at best. So that comes out to somewhere around a B-. I think he was above average.
I think he has extraordinary talent that's only matched by his inconsistency. And I think that's why they didn't play him as fast as what we think they should have played him. Butch Jones is a very intelligent man. You better pay attention to what he's trying to tell you.
Yeah, he does sail some passes now. And the question is, and the problem is they sail so far on a couple of these, there's 2 or 3 a game, where you're left wondering, did that pass just get away and that's inaccuracy, or does he know what he's throwing to? Is that a bad decision? I mean, there are points where I'm saying, is that a decision making or is that just inaccuracy?
He looked better in the passing game earlier when he had all his receivers healthy.
And a little more time to throw.
And more time to throw. Now, I thought the inaccuracy showed up. There's no question they did. I do like the fact that he competed, that he hung in there. He made some nice runs to convert some first downs, made a nice run for touchdown there. It does bring up to mind, okay, we've heard about practices issues that he's had from time to time. But I still think, look, this guy's only played 9, 10 games maybe in his college career. He's still got a long way to go just experience-wise to get better. So I think they'll be in good hands with him going forward.
I agree with you 100%. I think at some point in that game, they started out spitting and sputtering, on offense, and it seemed like they said, "Okay, Josh, take this team, put it on your shoulders, and let's
Yes.
make a few runs. Let's start moving the ball offensively," which he did.
And that's the first time in a while you've had a Tennessee quarterback that you could do that with. I mean,
Yeah.
now that the game has changed over the last 10 years and gone to this spread offense, and 90% of the teams run it, and if you've got a quarterback that can run the ball, you're ahead of the game. Tennessee has been kind of behind the 8 ball on all this. Everybody else has gotten there first. Now they finally got a guy, it seems, that they can say, all right, look, nothing else is working. Just run with it.
And if you'll notice something too, Missouri did it and Vanderbilt both did it. They're taking away his outside move when he's getting pressure in the
Yep.
pocket. So that's other teams have seen what he likes to do. It seems like he really likes to roll back to his right, and teams have somebody standing out there. So that's something he's going to have to learn to add another weapon to his game that he can't just rely on that.
What
constantly.
surprises me a little bit is how good he can run inside.
Oh,
One
yeah.
of those touchdowns, I mean,
Yeah.
he took it right up the gut.
Well, he looks like he wouldn't be as hard to tackle as he is.
Jimmy, you
He's elusive there. No, I was thinking, I think that I don't know what the reasons are, but I thought Tennessee would try to roll him out a little bit more, get him on the corner a little bit. I haven't seen that. Against Missouri, I think they rolled him out once, and that was a 2-point conversion. But I thought that might help him a little bit get away from the pressure.
one thing I like that I did see yesterday, and we'll end it with a positive for him. When he scrambles, he keeps his eyes downfield. There were 2 plays yesterday where he's dancing around and still finds a guy downfield. And we've said this before. I think the positive there is this is not an athlete that you're trying to teach to pass. This is a quarterback first who's elusive, and that's a big difference. And I think the fact that he can keep his eyes downfield, very impressive. All right, guys, when we come back on the Sports Source, it's our necessary roughness. Oh, I know Bobby's going to pick a nit with Mr. Dobbs. We got I got an alarming stat to show you about Tennessee's offense without Matt Crowder in there. Come on back on the Sports Source.